coming to this from a research kind of component, neuroscience research. When you look into this, and when it comes to particularly rhythm, and the effect of the rhythm on the brain and physiology, what has impressed you the most in the literature that perhaps we can discuss a little bit?
Well, there's been a lot of research done in the past several years about beat perception. And there's also been a lot of work being done both clinically and in neuroscience research related to moving with a beat. And many of you are probably familiar with some of these methods that have been used clinically, where Parkinson's patients, for example, are able to synchronize their movements better when they're moving in response to music. One of the findings, the projects that's been ongoing has been a lot of work out of Northwestern University. And Nina Kraus has been very involved with a variety of different projects. Some of her projects related to experience, related plasticity, some of them related to beat. But most recently, this September, she and a colleague, Adam Tierney, released a real timely project for us. Their findings were most helpful for what it is that we're setting out to do, and I'm excited to tell you all a little bit about it right now. She and Dr. Tierney were working with some adolescents, and we're looking at how they were with tapping movements to beats. And what they actually ended up finding was that those individuals who were tapping more synchronistically with the movement also were demonstrating more neural synchrony. Their auditory neural pathway at a subcortical level, so underneath the cortex level in the brainstem, was actually working more in sync. So we actually were able to have some proof there of what we kind of know all along, again, that whole idea of output being really very much contingent upon what's going into that system, and that idea of being able to receive that steady beat input and move synchronistically is something that was actually found to create some neural change with some of those subjects, because what ended up happening is that with some practice, as some of those adolescents started moving more synchronistically, they were able to see that there were, in fact, some changes in what was going on from a neuronal standpoint with them.
Of course, music is a very complex stimuli, and it's one of the most complex that we deal with, even more complex than a language. So the brain is obviously very much stimulated by music. And when there is also movement with music, we have even more centers in the brain lighting up and being active. So, in the context of, responding to music, there is the older reptilian brain of brainstem and cerebellum, of course. And then you have, with the higher cognitive functions of the frontal lobe and parietal lobe, and etc. So there is different parts of the brain that are involved, of course, when that kind of movement happens. And with the knowledge of brain plasticity that's been, in discussion recently, of course, it all makes sense.